early morning, can't control it. Fired up and counting every minute. Hands are shaking, eyes are burning. The time has come, yeah, this is not a warning. The week was just so long, we had to let it go. Our problems disappeared, we're not tied up anymore. The weekend is here. Sunday calls, we are sick and tired of it. Up and down, can you feel it?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Kurt Johansson Show. It's Kurt with another fantastic interview as I look into the wrestling scene in Singapore once more. Following on from my interview with Singapore Pro Wrestling owner Andruew Tang, I now have the first Singaporean female professional wrestler in Alexis Lee. Alexis, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
No, really excited about this. It's been few months in the making. There was coronavirus, and then there was the whole speaking out movement. So we kind of put that on hold, and now here we are, being able to talk about your career. First off, props to you. You was very vocal in the speaking out movement. That must have been really brave for you to speak about your experiences and then support all the other women and men that were speaking about their experiences. So again, full respect to you for that.
Thanks. It was definitely a difficult decision for many of the people who actually spoke out, but it was also something that has to be done to make wrestling a safer space in general, all around the world. So yeah.
No, brilliant. Hopefully it will change. I know there's been a few people trying to creep back onto social media and things like that, but then everybody's shutting that straight down, not letting it. So hopefully that continues, because there isn't a room for them in professional wrestling. I know so many fans and wrestlers alike that have been affected by actions of people like that, and there is no space for it. But on a more positive note, again, first Singaporean female wrestler, what was it like? Why did you think, you know what, even though there's not many, there isn't any doing it, I want to be a professional wrestler in Singapore?
That started back in high school when I was going through a really tough phase, being bullied and all that. So that was when I first started watching wrestling, and then I decided I really do enjoy watching wrestling, and what better way than if I want to try to make an impact and change the world than to become pro wrestler, because WWE has this whole Be Your Star campaign. So I was like, okay, I should probably try to become pro wrestler to try my best to kind of change and help, others who are going through the bullying thing.
Yeah.
So that was how I kind of got my door into pro wrestling. And then SPW came along, and then I joined SPW back in 2013. And then I became the first female pro wrestler of Singapore. So it's a crazy journey, yeah.
Yeah. What was that first experience again, being the first, stepping into what was at the time a man's world? There was nobody else doing it, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna kick the door down and show how badass I really am. What was the reception like when you first went training?
I just really wanted to wrestle, even though my parents was really against it. So for the first 8 months, up to my debut, which was 8 months of training, I would just keep it a secret from my parents, which was not the best thing. Yeah. So training was it was definitely tough because I was training with a bunch of guys, and everyone was improving at such a different speed than I was.
Yeah.
And I just feel I had to make up for effort and all that double time. So it was great because the guys kind of helped me with confidence and just helping me with everything in pro wrestling training back then. My first match was in a fatal 4-way. It was crazy, a really crazy experience because everyone was just really rooting for me as the only girl in the whole show. And I remember I almost fell off the top rope while I was trying to sign up. So it was really great to kind of hear the reception from them. And it was a crazy period of life, man. That freaking first year of wrestling.
I'm just impressed you managed to keep it from your parents after getting like thrown about in training and stuff, and they're not like, Alexis, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you walking like that?
Yeah, it's a lot of like sneaking around.
Yeah. What's it been like with working under like Andrew Tang then? Obviously the owner of Singapore Pro Wrestling, and from my chat with him, like he is just so proud of yourself and what you've achieved from everything, and you could tell that like he's so charismatic and it's infectious anyways, and he was just smiling away when talking about yourself. So what's your interactions with Andrew been like?
Andrew's always been like a big brother since the first time I stepped into the ring. He's always been taking care of me. He's always really proud of my achievements. Like from the first time we debuted in 2015, like we were on many different social media outlets and all that stuff for like articles for TV shows and all that. So he's been very, very supportive of my whole journey for the past 7 years, like including times when my parents would be like coming down to the training facility and kind of like wanting me to quit wrestling so many times. Like Andrew's always been the one like doing the really difficult job of being a middleman between my parents and I to kind of convince them to, allow me to continue wrestling and to just pursue my dream. And like it was really great of him when he was also part of the WWE Trial with us.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm feeling like really, really nervous and all that, he would just, calm me down. He's just this great pillar of support for the past 7 years. Yeah.
Well, we'll jump forward to those WWE tryouts then. Like, what was going through your mind first, getting an invitation to be able to go down to them, and talk about like the whole experience of being a part of that tryout and who you got to interact with from WWE and what you learned from that tryout.
So we did a show in, I want to say like May, like last year May. We did a show and I wrestled Crystal and Riho in front of the scouts, and that was when the scouts came down to kind of like watch us during the training session and all that. So it was like nerve wracking to know like, we're all in the ring and then like you have Matt Bloom and like Mr. Kenyon like just like outside, just like looking at you, and then there's like the big ass camera that they brought with them, like they're just filming everything. They're just like, okay, let's try to stay calm. Let's try our best to not make a single mistake. So it was like, holy shit. And like we just went like to a water park that day, like just like right before training. So we're like super tired. And yeah, we can't like make any mistakes. So it was like really, yeah, we're just a nervous mess. So like the match, it went pretty well. I mean, I screwed up a little bit, but I mean we all do.
Yeah.
And yeah, like after the show, we kind of like some of us kind of got a message from Matt Bloom and Mr. Kenyon when they were leaving. They were like, "Oh, I'll see you in China." And we're like, "Wait, what? Like, are we gonna get into the tryouts? Like, are we? We're not sure because we don't want to get our hopes up. So we were like really just keeping it to ourselves and like hoping for actual like legit email and reply from them about it. And that came like I think it was in June. I actually found out from Crystal before Andrew even told me about it, because Andrew literally just woke up and like and like Crystal, like the Philippines side already found out about the news like at the same time, but like because Andrew woke up at a later time, so like Philippines, the people from Philippines already knew about that. So like Crystal was telling me, and I was like, wait, what? Like I'm part of it now too? I don't know. So I will always remember it as finding out from someone else that's not Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you actually went to China then and actually participated in the tryout?
For the flight to China, we were actually on like a red eye flight. There was like we got there really early. We were so tired. We were so nervous. It was a crazy experience, like 4 days of training, 2 sessions, 4 hours each. So it's like 8 hours of training each day.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like we just wanted to do our absolute best because we are the first batch of Southeast Asian wrestlers. It's actually part of any WWE tryout. So it's like we're making history, and like especially the wrestling scene in Southeast Asia is like so green and so
Yeah.
new. It's like we are trying to kind of pave the way for the future of pro wrestling in Southeast Asia. So it's like this massive weight on all of us who were part of it. And like it's also great because we know each other. So it's like we were in a foreign country, like instead of everyone for themselves mentality, it was like kind of like a family sort of thing where, the pro wrestlers that know each other were like,
Yeah.
yay, let's do this together. Like there's this comadre which was really, really helpful, like in getting us through each and every single training session.
Yeah.
I mean, things get so tiring. And I actually lost weight because I could not barely eat any like food in China, even though I'm Chinese. It does not add up, but yeah, I lost weight.
So who was it that was leading the tryouts? Obviously, you mentioned Mr. Kenyon and Matt Bloom. Were they back out in China? Did they bring anybody else with them?
Oh, sure. Serena Depp was there too. And then there were the NXT talents that Reina Gonzalez, what was that guy's name? There was a guy, I can't remember. He does NXT on several occasions.
I think I know.
And then there's the China recruits that they had from the first tryout.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Was there anything that like stuck out and some of advice you got going away from the tryout?
I think it's just that no matter what the results are, just know that this is like another notch into your resume that would kind of help you out and like do whatever dream you're aiming for, because not everyone comes up from the tryouts like getting signed, and like there's definitely gonna be disappointment. There's definitely gonna be like all sorts of mixed feelings about wrestling or whatever coming out of the tryout. So I think it's very important for us who have been through like all these trials to kind of understand that sometimes things don't happen for a reason, and that we have to just continuously work harder to kind of like get to whatever we're dreaming of, like that end goal.
Yeah. So, have you had any contact with WWE since then?
I have not.
What was your parents' reaction then? So obviously they've been against you, training to be a professional wrestler. There was even coming down to training, was like, stop training my daughter. And then fast forward all these years, and the biggest company in the world is flying you to China, and they're wanting to see what you got. What was their reaction to that?
My mom was definitely worried. I mean, over the course of like this many years, their feelings on pro wrestling has not pretty much changed. They still don't like the fact I'm doing it, but they have given up on the fact of like, I'm not going to give up pro wrestling. So they've pretty much like just got in their head that, we're not able to kind of like get away from it. We might as well try our best to kind of support it. So they were being rather supportive of this tryout opportunity. Like my dad was even joking, like, "Oh, like are you getting paid for it?" And I'm like, "Well, what? Like we already got, like we already got the flights covered, the hotels covered, like food is gonna be covered. Like, what else do you want? Like this is a freaking great opportunity." So yeah, like it's crazy, but like my parents are more or less all right with pro wrestling now. They don't really care, to be honest.
They've just accepted the fact that they're not going to be able to change it.
Yeah, it's just given up. I'm stubborn like that.
Good. What's the reaction been like from like the audience then when they're seeing yourself as again the first female wrestler? What's it been like with other people wanting to get into training because of yourself, or if you've got like fans in the audience that can now look up to you? What's that been like?
It's crazy. Like that's kind of like what I got into pro wrestling for, to kind of like make a positive change. And like when people come up to me and tell me like how I have in any way influenced them in a positive way, like it's always ever so touching. Like I came out recently, like 3 years ago with my ex, and like it's been a crazy journey. Like, cause being part of the LGBTQ community in Singapore or in Asia,
Yeah.
it's pretty frowned upon. It's like it's not that accepting here. So like coming out, it was very scary, and to kind of like know that people have my back and they're accepting of it, it's really amazing. And then I have like some people coming up to me and telling me like how they now have like someone they can look up to proudly be who they are, and I'm like, this is so damn sweet. Like, don't say any more stuff because I have makeup on and I can't cry.
There is actually a company opening up in London here in the UK called Pride Pro Wrestling, and it's for the LGBTQ plus community, where I think they're wanting everybody that's involved in the company to be representing that banner. And I think, again, that's such a huge thing in professional wrestling to see how accepting everybody's being now. I know you still get a few idiots with the narrow mind, but they fuck them. Like everybody's just rooting together and getting strong. What's your thoughts on a company being based solely on that for its foundation?
I just saw it on Twitter, like Pride Pro Wrestling. I was like, this is a very good idea. Like, it just makes sure that this is a very safe space for fans and wrestlers alike as part of the rainbow community. So it's like, you just know that, there is no, you don't have to like pretend to be someone else or hide who you are, because in those promotions that like is so open about who they are, like, and what they support in, like, especially the LGBTQ community. It it just makes it a safe space for everyone, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the company that seems to be behind it, BWR, they're based fair up north near myself. And again, they've handled everything with the speaking out movement. They've handled everything fantastically, and the growth of that company as a whole makes me excited to what Pride can become. So, before we go back into like your career, I know before coronavirus, you were planning on coming to Europe. You was planning on coming to the UK. So hopefully we can get that kick-started. Maybe with Pride, I'll start tweeting. But talk about that. Like, what was your first interaction with promotions from Europe, from the UK, for you to come wrestle over here?
Wow. Um, Basically, like the whole tour idea was like, I mean, I just got out of a relationship. I then posted that I wanted to retire for a while, which like after 2 days, I got announced for a match. So that did not go well.
Shortest retirement
But like,
ever.
yeah, I know, right? But literally after I just announced I was going to retire, like my friend asked me like, can you help me like be part of our show? And I was like, sure. So yeah, then after that match, I realized like how much I really miss wrestling and how much I would really miss wrestling if I, took a break. So I decided to kind of like plan a trip, and it just started out from like messaging Pro Wrestling East, because
Yeah.
I was at their show at the She One last year.
Okay,
So
well,
I kind of like already knew them. Yeah, I was just there as a guest.
yeah,
It was really nice to kind of see how like the fans are and like how interactive everyone is, and I
yeah.
really like enjoyed that vibe. So I was like, I always want to wrestle in UK, so might as well bite the bullet and like just plan a tour, which was the scariest thing ever because I had to message a whole bunch of people. I don't get a lot of replies, but like, the toughen up and just wait for the replies and hopefully plan a tour, which it actually kind of worked out well.
Yeah.
Because that would mean I would be resting the most in like 2 months than I have been like for my entire career.
Oh wow. Now that is great. That though, like, hopefully it's something we can get started with again. Like once it's safe for international travel and the wrestling scene's gone back to normality, because it's taken a massive hit with obviously not being able to do the livelihood, getting paid for the shows and things like that. But no, like whenever you're planning on a UK tour, just drop me a message. I'll try and see how many other places I can. I'm like, great, she's coming over. You need to have her on and hopefully like help you in that capacity. But let's go like back into your career then, because again, Singapore Pro Wrestling, you've had some like great opportunities in that. You've been sharing the ring with the likes of Emi Sakura and you've Riho as well, the first AEW Women's World Champion. Like, what were those experiences like?
Oh, so scary.
I can see it in your eyes.
I met Sakura-san 5 years ago, and that was like I think it was like my fourth match ever.
Wow.
Yeah, like I barely wrestled in my first couple years in wrestling. So yeah, like wrestling Sakura is like, holy shit, she's a freaking legend.
For
I've
your
read up
fourth match.
so much about her. Yeah, it was just my fourth match. I was like, holy shit. So I was like freaking baby when I freaking went for her. And like she just got into the ring and started shouting like she does in matches.
Yeah.
And it was so freaking loud, and I was like, oh my gosh. Because our dojo is like quite small, and like her voice just echoes throughout. So it was like really, really loud to me.
Yeah.
The first time we met, and she was in the ring just shouting, and I was like, please don't shout anymore. It was great, like working with her. She's amazing. Every single time I step in the room with her, I learned like a ton. Riho too, like it's like you could see like why Riho is the first AEW Women's Champion. She just freaking deserves it.
Yeah.
She's been doing this since she was like 7 years old, and like I worked with her on a singles match in Hong Kong and was like so stressed out because she's this little firecracker just running around and like. So yeah, like working with Sakura-san, working with Riho, working with all these like talented female wrestlers I've wrestled with all around the world. It's a great experience because there is not a lot of women here in Southeast Asia. So like it gave me a lot of like it helped give me a lot of friends in the business, like people I could look up to, people I could talk to.
Yeah.
Especially when like there's like difficult topics like the speaking out movement. I have all these people I could like get advice about and from. So it's really great working with them. We formed this bond in both like inside and outside the ring, and yeah, they've been amazing. All these people.
Yeah. What's the best bit of advice, especially with Sakura again, fourth match in, and yeah, you're wrestling Sakura. What's the best bit of advice she's given you? Because again, she's trained some of the best professional wrestlers in the world.
The advice I remember the most was like she keeps telling me like I gotta shout, like I gotta make noises in my match, because that's where it kind of perks people up. It
Yeah.
kind of like builds up the whole match atmosphere, and then like when you kind of like show off the energy, the fans feel it too, and then you kind of like feed off the fans' energy. It becomes like this cycle of energy thingy in a match, which
Yeah.
is really helpful because her match has always been like so high powered, high energy fight. It's like she's on Red Bull the whole time.
And Riho again, like she's again been one person that you've shared the ring with several times, especially around the Singapore title. What's the advice she's giving you, and what was it like seeing somebody that essentially you'd been feuding with and trying to take the title off, then appear on AEW and then becoming the first ever AEW champion, and that's just somebody that you're constantly sharing the ring with.
She makes it hard to share the room with her because she's a superstar. It's like she's this massive star, and then I'm like, hi, can I have the spotlight too? No, but she's been really humble through all these things. Like even before AEW, she was already such a big star,
Yeah.
and like she's always been this really humble girl outside the ring. It's great sharing the ring with her. Like she is definitely on the next level compared to me. So like she tries to bring me up a bit. Like every time I face in the ring, it's it's crazy. Like we work well. Like she just doesn't like just shut me off and kind of be like I know what I'm doing. Like let us do things my way. Like she just kind of like listen to what you want to do and like your ideas and all that, and she'll just like kind of like make everything work so much better than what you have in mind.
Yeah.
So she's definitely really fun to work with, and I really want to work with her again soon, especially take off the title from her.
Yeah.
I gotta do that.
You can. Who else have you like shared the ring with and been maybe in awe or learned so much from?
What is it? Crystal is one of them. I've wrestled her like I think 9 times.
Yeah.
Like we have shared the ring 9 times. We know each other pretty well. Every single time we step in the ring, it's like it's not even like having proper matches anymore. To us, it's just having fun.
Yeah.
Because we just know each other so well. It's like we just play each other off like really fast. We also did our match in WWE during the tryouts too, so that was really fun. Yeah. Another person I actually had a lot of fun with. Technically, was just one time, but
Yeah.
it was a match I would remember the most because it's Hana Kimura,
Yeah.
and she's just so damn adorable. Yeah, like we played around like kids before the match, and like yeah, like I only knew her for a short while, but that that short time I had with her was like so much fun. It was like she's like a little sister, so we were just like teasing each other and messing around, like little like sisters who
Yeah.
wrestle. Yeah, it was so fun. Like in the match, before the match, she was so great. I miss her.
Yeah. On that note again, you've been very vocal on like the cyberbullying and things like that. Like, have you got a message for anybody that may be getting bullied, or like it's Twitter can be so toxic. People
I
can be
get
so
that.
toxic, and it's horrible. Like you see somebody mention something good about themselves, and there's always somebody to be like, but is it that good, or it's not as good as this? And it's like, why can't we just appreciate what people are doing? And if you haven't got anything nice to say, just don't friggin' say anything.
That's exactly what I've been trying to tell people all the time. Like I don't get Twitter sometimes just because of how like something like totally harmless could like be turned around and like become like a self sabotage.
Yeah.
I just don't get it at all. Like even with speaking of movement and all that, it was like there was so many people kind of like you don't have anything nice to add, just don't add. But all these people just putting their 2 cents into all these poor people with like pouring their hearts out and like just sharing their stories of speaking out. I don't get it. Like I was like, oh, this is so freaking it's such a headache. It's just causing so much headache. Like this toxic cyber shit.
Yeah. One thing that people should just mute people now. That's what I've started doing. If there's anybody negative, just mute them, just block them, and just don't have that space in your life, really. But on more positive note, like the wrestling scene in Southeast Asia, especially over the last couple of years, you've obviously got Singapore Pro Wrestling, you've got NYPW as well, which I know you'd been working with. What's the growth in the scene that you've seen, like the positive growth?
For SPW wise, from our first show, we started off with like maybe 100 people, and then our the show we had Kenny Omega on, it was sold out in 24 hours with over 600 people. So like this thing has grown tremendously here in Singapore.
Yeah.
And in over in my PW, like you have Phoenix, who has like basically become like an international icon.
Yeah.
For Muslims everywhere, being the first wrestler who wears a tudong and all that. So yeah, it's like so many more people around the world is like finding out about pro wrestling in Southeast Asia. You have like Emi Sakura who has like kind of like hit a spotlight onto Gato Move when she did Gato Move in Thailand.
Yeah.
So she has basically trained the wrestlers that are in Thailand, and like they're doing great on their own too. The scene in general has been growing so much. Like it's crazy to think like how we came from the start where we basically had like a lot of empty spaces to a freaking sold out show where like fans would recognize you from anywhere, and like we have fans of us, small like independent wrestlers all around the world. Like it's just crazy to think that people around the world knows about us. I like why? Like how do you know about us? Like we are like no one big, you know. So yeah, it's been crazy to kind of see how the scene has grown, how many more wrestlers are coming through, the amount of international talent that's come through Southeast Asia too. It's just like wow, like that's been awesome. Like it's not something I would have believed like if you told me that when I first started. So yeah, it's crazy good.
Yeah, you mentioned like the talent that's been coming through. You mentioned Kenny Omega. Obviously, he was on the show with Shima. You've been seeing people like Hurricane and Tajiri come across to Southeast Asia as well. Is there anybody that's on your list that you're like, I want this person to be brought over because I want to face them?
Oh, I have a freaking long list of dream opponents I want, but those opponents are gonna cost me money. They're gonna cost the company money. I have to work my ass off to get them. There's a whole bunch of talent from all around the world. I have like people I want to face from America, from UK especially. I do want to see some of these talents working in Singapore so they can like feel the love from the Singaporean fans.
Yeah.
Because I know they're doing like a crazy awesome job over in Europe, but like Singapore fans are crazy fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there anybody in particular from the UK that you'd love to come across to Singapore?
I would love to have like Jetta, Charlie Morgan, if she comes out of retirement.
Yeah.
Rara Riley definitely. Laura Dimitri is awesome.
Yeah.
I like Sky Smithson in the ring too. Like she's like freaking great at her stuff. Who else from UK though?
There's one that I think would be great, and you were supposed to share the ring in Rings of Europe. It was Chantal Jordan at such a young age.
Oh yeah, I've seen her stuff. Yeah.
Chantal's been
She's
killing
really
it.
young.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of her age.
I think
I want to be that age.
16, 17. And
yeah, I want to be back to that
age. So, like, what's next for yourself? Like, what are your goals in professional wrestling? I know. Well, before we get to that, I know you was in America for a little bit. You was doing the where you was the Vixen champion. He's still the Vixen champion. Like I saw you've got like.
I am. My title is somewhere at home. I think it's in my bedroom. Yeah, I have the title somewhere. I can't remember.
You should find that.
Yeah, I took it out recently. I can't remember where I left it. My house is a mess. But yeah, I definitely want to go to America. Like touring is something I've always wanted to do. But with touring, I also need to get off my comfort zone with like traveling by myself and I also do need a driving license,
Yeah.
especially for America, because I can't drive, and I do need to drive if I'm in America.
Yeah. It's
So
not as
yeah,
bad in the UK
pretty much-
because it's so small, but like the UK probably fits inside one state in America. It's in comparison, it's ridiculous.
yeah, like so, like Europe, I was not so worried because like the public transport system is fantastic.
Yeah.
But like America's a different story with all the different states, especially. Like shit, I don't know how am I getting anywhere without a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely after COVID, like I would love to go to Japan finally and try to do a tour. It's scary. Japan's scary. Japan is like ta-da in pro wrestling world, so it's like, am I ready for it? I'm not sure, but like I should probably bite the bullet and really go for it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, after COVID, like I need to go Japan and I want to do more of Europe. Because so far I wrestled in like what Austria and France,
Yeah.
and I do miss Europe a lot. So I definitely want to go back to Europe and like wrestle and travel and see more of the world. And America definitely is in the works someday after I get my driving license. And yeah, I don't know where I would want to be like in life or anything.
Yeah.
I do know like I love to travel and I do love pro wrestling. So I want to like combine both and just see where things take me to. Cause yeah,
Yeah.
you make plans, plans fall through. So I'm done with plans. Like,
What's the ultimate goal then? Like, obviously, we mentioned AEW and Riho, Emi Sakura, they've been there. But then you do have the like huge infrastructure of WWE. You mentioned the touring aspect. There's no company that tours more than WWE. What are your long-term goals of where you'd like the home for Alexis Lee to be?
I think the long term goal, like the end goal, would be to have a contract and just work my ass off, kind of to help pave the way for the future in like Southeast Asia. So I don't know which company that would happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like starting off like watching WWE for like pro wrestling wise, it's like WWE would be the dream goal, but like life doesn't always work out the way you want. So if I don't make it to the WWE, it's like hopefully I can make it anywhere else.
Yeah.
'Cause who knows?
What's your experience been like with Wrestle Square then? Because I know you've been going to India, wrestling there.
Yeah,
What's that experience been like?
it was really fun. Like I've always wanted to go to India, but it's not like a country where you actually actively make travel plans to. I don't know.
Yeah.
My family does not really make travel plans for India. So having the opportunity was great because I've always wanted to go to India and kind of like see the country, which I didn't manage to do because we were like super busy.
Was you in New Delhi?
Yeah, we were in New Delhi, but we spent most of our time between like from the hotel room to the TV studio where we were filming for the show.
Yeah.
So it was like just going back and forth and like that's it. On our last day, we were supposed to kind of sightsee, and like we went out to this. I want to say it's a temple. I have absolutely no idea because it was closed.
Yeah.
So we took photos outside by the gate, and that was a great India experience.
Nah, but so
It
from
was very fun though. Like
yeah,
it's different culture.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
like
from
India is fun. Sorry.
it's alright. Carry on.
India was like really fun. It was very different from what I had in mind. Um, yeah, I would love to go back to India and get used to vegetarian food because I don't eat a lot of vegetables that they kind of do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd probably struggle there. So, what would you say to those that may be listening that haven't really checked out Singapore Pro Wrestling or had a look at the wrestling scene in Southeast Asia? So, whether the fans from America, Europe, or the UK, like, what can they expect when watching Singapore Pro Wrestling?
I think the best thing to say is like go to our YouTube channel and kind of like watch a bunch of matches. The easiest way would be to watch matches with your favorite stars that we have brought over, like tough luck. And like yeah, just like take note that we are a really green team here in like Southeast Asia. So please go easy on us. We are like learning from scratch, and we're trying our absolute best to bring our absolute best to the ring and to the fans around the world who is like new to the scene here.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And if you see any more of the talents that you do like please put them in Europe.
Yes. And so if there was to check out YouTube, what one match of yours would you recommend they check out?
I have a few favorite matches. Definitely check out my match with Makoto and Reika Saki, and definitely Hiroyo Matsumoto because that match was so much fun. I died, but it was fun.
I was going to say, as soon as you mentioned Matsumoto, I was like, oh, that would be brutal.
Oh yeah, but it was so fun. I just came to life. I was so happy. It was a crazy thing.
What did you learn from that match and working with her?
I learned that she kicks hard, and I was like, this might have been a mistake. Probably don't try to throw people into the seat because that is always going to bite me back in the ass. I tried to throw into the seat and she reversed it, and I hit the chairs like a freaking bowling ball hitting pins. Nightmare situation. Because I got my leg stuck on one of the chairs too.
Just seems like, brutal.
Yeah.
So there've been a lot of rumours, especially pre-COVID, of WWE. It's been no secret that they've been doing more stuff in Asia and Japan and things like that. What's your thoughts on the potential like NXT Japan or NXT Asia and them having their own show, a bit like NXT UK, having their own performance centre from wrestling talents from Japan, from Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, India? What would your thoughts on that be?
I think that would be a really great opportunity, especially because like it would shine like more of this like promotions in Southeast Asia, in Asia in general. It would kind of like shine a spotlight onto all these talents, amazing talents who've been working their ass off to try to break out in like pro wrestling scene around the world. So like yeah, it's great to kind of like give a different outlook onto pro wrestling, which has been it's been so popular in Japan and in America and Europe that in South, like people don't really know that there's much wrestling around Asia. Like there's Hong Kong, there's like promotions in Taiwan, there's like the other one in China and all that. There's so many great talents out there, but like people just don't really know.
Yeah.
So having NXT Japan or Asia, it would be a great opportunity for us to kind of like live our crazy big dream of getting signed by WWE, even though it's for like an NXT brand. It's still like an opportunity we would all like crave so much that we would probably cry. But yeah, I think it's great because it would help the scene here so much, I would think. Yeah.
No, and hopefully people do start seeing more of what's in Southeast Asia for the wrestling scene. That's essentially been why I've been trying to do these series of interviews. So for those of you watching or listening and you've not seen them already, I've had a look at MYPW, so Malaysia, with Shukat. I've done Singapore Pro Wrestling now with Alexis Lee and Andrew Tang. I've done Hong Kong Pro Wrestling Federation with Ho Ho Lun, and Middle Kingdom Wrestling with Adrian Gomez. So make sure you check those out. And if there is any companies that you want me to have a look at, just drop me a tweet, drop me a DM, and I'll have a look at those. And yeah, I'm just trying to shine a spotlight on all the different wrestling scenes in the world that maybe don't get the attention they deserve. And Alexis, it's been absolutely great speaking to you. It's been, again, long overdue, but we finally made it happen. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Alexis_Lee. My Facebook page is at Alexis Lee _independent wrestler. And I'm on Twitter at Alexis Lee XY. It's all different handles. I don't know why.
Well done for actually remembering them.
I finally remembered them after so many interviews. I'm a terrible person.
And if you're wanting to see Alexis Lee come to a promotion near you, whether it's Australia, America, UK, Europe, make sure you're tweeting the promoters. Make sure you share her stuff. Try and get her out there, and hopefully we'll get you over to the UK sooner rather than later. Yeah, so everybody, that's been the Kate Johansson Show. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And you can find me on Twitter at Kate Johansson Show. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.